say. Well, hello and welcome to Claire and to anyone who is watching tonight and maybe will be watching this video later. I would like to welcome you to our very special preview tasting of drink that we are about to launch, and I'll tell you more about this drink in just a few seconds. But welcome to Claire. Hi, lovely to see you today.
Thank you very much for having me, Svetlana. It's very good to be here. I'm excited to taste this drink with you.
Yes, very, very excited. But before we start, do you think we should maybe introduce ourselves so people know what it is we do? So let's just do that. I'll go first if that's okay. So my name is Svetlana and I'm the founder of the Cheese Lady Shop. We are based in Haddington in East Lothian, and also we have an online store at thecheeselady.co.uk. Our specialty is farmhouse and artisan cheeses, and they are the cheeses that are super complex. They're made with fantastic milk. They are mature to perfection, so something that really brings a lot of joy to people from what I find, and I've been doing this for a few years now. So that's my area of expertise. I love cheese, and I actually like certain things that go with cheese, and we'll talk more about that tonight. And now I would like to let Claire introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Svetlana. So my name is Claire Blackler. I'm a Master of Wine. I am the founder of Claire Drinks, originally Case Studies Wine School. We've gone through a bit of a rebrand in the last 6 months or so. So now we are Claire Drinks. This side, Claire Drinks. And my role in life is an educator and consultant for the wine and spirits industry. So I am very comfortable talking about anything wine or spirits related, and anything that is linked with them. Cheese, perfect partner.
Excellent. That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you for joining me tonight. So the reason why we got together is to introduce you all to our new product that we're about to launch at the Cheese Lady. We're actually going to launch 2 products, but tonight we're going to speak about one of them in more detail. But if I may just take a couple of seconds to introduce you to our first one, just to show you real quick. This is a very exclusive preview. Nobody knows about this yet, but this is our hazelnut liqueur. It's called Aveline, and this is designed specifically for cheese. So the main notes are hazelnut, then we have a little bit of honey and a little bit of apple. So very nice and complex and fantastic with cheese.
But what's it made from, Svetlana? It's a liqueur, is it?
It is a liqueur, so there is a base spirit, and obviously the flavors that we've added to them: the hazelnut, the honey, and the apple.
Oh, okay. So you've made that by process of maceration, have you?
I think so. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So this is produced by our local liqueur producer, Buck and Birch. They are fantastic at what they do. They forge their ingredients locally, and then they magically blend them into liqueurs.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what they've done, I'd have thought. Yeah, cool.
That's my thinking as well. But I'll need to ask them to visit and actually see what it is they do. I don't know.
Yeah. Can I come?
So, and the second drink that we are going to be chatting about tonight is this one. But I have to say, this is a little bit of a prototype. So this is not the real thing yet, but this is how it looks like. Let me introduce you to Melina. And Melina is a honey wine. It's going to be in this gorgeous tall bottle with a golden color, as you can see, and just really nice and slim and elegant. So Melina is a honey wine. And what is really honey wine? I'm sure maybe some people will be familiar with the term, some people will be more confused, some people will immediately think, oh, is it like mead? And yes, to answer that question, it is a little bit like mead, but possibly not like mead how you've tried it before. So I've tried a few meads in the past and I was never impressed. I just was like overlooking the whole thing. I never thought of mead as working with cheese. But when I tried this particular honey wine, I just fell in love with it at first sip, and I thought, this is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think it'll work so nicely with fine cheeses that we stock, that immediately I was just so interested, and I thought we need to have this in the store. It is that good. It's reminded me the first time I tried it of wines of Jura, like the Vin Jaune, or of the drier sherries. It has that type of character, which we'll talk about more in detail in a few moments. But yeah, I just fell in love with it, and I think it's just so beautifully and easy drinking. And for me, of course, it works with cheese, that I was really, really interested. And that's why I had that idea. And now we're nearly ready to launch it very, very soon. So that's a little bit of backstory to Melina. And when I was starting to work on the brand and things like that, I immediately thought of my friend Claire, who is the master of wine. And I thought I would really love to get some feedback on this. Am I completely crazy with this idea? Is it really that good? So I just wanted to double check, and I sent a sample to Claire, and to my relief and joy, she really enjoyed the drink, and she was very happy to endorse it. So now I think if you, Claire, could talk us through maybe the drink and how you found it, how you discovered it. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the flavors and the aromas that you found there, and we can try it together.
Okay, absolutely. So the first thing, and I have chosen to drink my honey wine from a wine glass. So when I did the tasting, after Svetlana sent me the samples, I tried it in several different glasses and at several different temperatures, and I felt that very lightly chilled in the fridge helped to enhance and promote some of the lovely aromatics that it had. And the wine glass with the big bowl was probably the best glass where I got the most enjoyable experience from it. So I felt that it deserved being in a proper wine glass.
I'm taking notes for next time. I obviously didn't do that last year.
I can see why a spirits glass would work quite well too, because it is and again it does have some similar aromatics to what a whiskey particularly what a whiskey might have, but for me it's the wine glass that I felt really helped express its lovely characteristics. And the first thing that really struck me was its color. It's beautiful sort of deep golden hues, which actually look really great against my orange background. I'm really impressed with that. So you can really see the color quite clearly, which is rather charming. It's really complex as well, and as Svetlana pointed out, it really isn't too dissimilar to some of the wines of Jura and some of the wines of Jerez, the sherries, for example, that have gone through a period of floor aging or aging under yeast and oxidative aging in barrel as well. Honey, dried flowers, toasted almonds in particular, some cinnamon and sandalwood as well. It's got a really nice savory nuance to it as well, which I think is what makes it such a good partner with cheese. I tried it with several different cheeses again when I was testing it for Svetlana. I thought it was fabulous with hard cheese in particular, but the complexity of it, the baked apple notes that it has, dried orange peel as well, I just thought were really, really charming. On the palate, you should notice, let me taste it first, and then I'll come back to you, carry on what I'm saying.
I completely agree with Claire about the complexity of that aroma. It's just something really refined, and that's what really struck me the first time I tried this particular drink. I just thought I've never even imagined. And that's another thing I wanted to say, that incredibly this drink is made only with 2 ingredients, and they are honey and water and a little bit of yeast alchemy to bring it all together. But it's just so mind-boggling to me that you can create such complexity with only 2 simple ingredients, and 2 amazing ingredients. I mean, we know we all need water, but also we know how fantastic honey is for our health and just for everything. Honey is amazing. I'm a huge lover of honey. I have so many varieties at home that for me to have found this drink is just like it was meant to be. I think it was written in the stars. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, to find that complexity, I was really, really impressed and just shocked.
Yeah, on the palate, that complexity turns into a rich sort of textural feel as well. You swirl it around your mouth, and you just get this lovely silky feel to it. It's very soothing. It feels very mellow. It feels very calming, much like one of the words I used was balmy. It felt like balm on the palate, and honey does have that characteristic, doesn't it? That sort of a healing feel to it. After all, when we have colds, we often drop some honey into a cup of hot water, and this gave me that similar sort of warm, cozy feeling inside when I tasted it. It's got some sugar there, so it's got a little bit of sweetness, but that's only great to help balance with the cheese. The alcohol.
Medium. Sorry, Claire. Would you describe it as a medium body in terms of body? How does it feel on there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say medium body, a medium level of sweetness. It's not overly sweet. It's not sort of dessert wine sweet, so it's not crazy sweet on the palate. But yeah, medium bodied. Medium to full, actually. Again, it feels really
kind of
quite
in that
viscous.
gray area, isn't it? Yeah, medium plus probably. But yeah, that's what we were thinking with the bottle as well, because it's kind of like a dessert wine. It has the sweetness, but it's not really dessert wine. So it's a wine bottle that's tall and kind of alluding to the dessert wine shape.
I think it's more, if we're talking about wine categories, I think it is more directly comparable to sherry. Probably and certainly in terms of the way you might drink it as well. So as I said earlier, in a wine glass, lightly chilled, it would be a great aperitif. So would be something that you could have past 6 o'clock, which it is now. So that's good. We're all good. 6 on a Friday. Or you could have it with some cheese or with drier, perhaps not quite so sweet puddingy things. You could even match it with savory. I think it could work really well with perhaps some mushroomy main courses or mushroomy sort of based canapes. I think that could work really well with that similar earthy level.
Yeah, and sometimes or oftentimes people match dessert wines with desserts as well, and this one is certainly kind of has that sweetness of honey and the nuttiness in the flavors. I think that could work with desserts as well as with the savory dishes.
Yeah, I think that nuttiness is key. So anything, a dessert that was kind of heavily nut focused would work well. Yeah,
that's terrific. How would you assess it in terms of length? Does it leave a really good long impression on your palate in professional terms?
Yeah, for sure. And that was one of the things that struck me about this particular example of honey wine as well, was just the length, the textural richness, the aromatic complexity, and the length that it has as well. I thought was really quite impressive. And whilst I'm not particularly experienced with mead as a product, my background is definitely in wine. I very much enjoyed it in its own on its own merits. And I felt it had a lovely long length, which is a characteristic that I often look for in wines when I'm judging their quality.
That's awesome. That I'm so happy that you enjoyed it in the first place and that you're happy to chat to us today about it. Shall I chat you through some cheese options for this drink? Yeah. So what I was thinking is to showcase 3 different types of cheese that this honey wine can work with. So today I selected one of my absolute favorite cheeses called Latour. So this cheese is a blend of 3 different milks: cows, sheep, and goats. So there's everything mixed in there. This blend changes seasonally. So in the summer, they'll have a little bit more goat's milk, a little bit less in the winter, and so on. But it's a soft cheese. It comes in this lovely cupcake wrapper because it's very soft. It just wants to collapse. It's scoopable and spoonable. So I've got a little spoon of it here. And in terms of texture, it's a very densely creamy, moussey, just kind of melts in your mouth. And flavor-wise, it's got a little bit of sweetness, but it also has a bit of zing from the goat's milk and that youthful freshness. So when I tried it, Latour with Melina, I found that they worked beautifully together because Melina just kind of cuts through that richness of the cheese, and the little bit of acidity that Melina has blends nicely and helps to lift the cheese. So for me, the texture and the flavor worked beautifully together. So that's the kind of soft cheese that I see myself and others enjoying Melina with. If we think of other soft cheeses like maybe Bries and Camemberts, I'm thinking maybe they might be a little bit too mushroomy, but don't quote me on that just yet. I will continue trying, obviously, Melina with all of our cheeses, but at the moment, I'm thinking of slightly less mushroomy, but more kind of creamy, kind of ice creamy, soft cheeses, if you will.
Yeah.
How does it sound?
I agree. Again, when I tried the Melina a couple of months ago, when you sent me the sample, I tried it with some soft cheeses, Brie, I think it was that I tried it with, and yeah, I didn't think it was particularly successful as a match. But to be honest with you, I struggled to match Brie with many wines. I don't know whether you've got any suggestions. Have you? What would you actually pair Brie and Camembert with?
Personally, for Camembert, kind of a no-brainer would be a cider. But
cider, all right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, for Brie and similar style cheeses, I would say kind of a lighter red wine like a Pinot Noir or maybe a Rosé. But yeah, they are a little bit tricky to pair, so we're not necessarily gonna find that third flavor, but it's just gonna be more for enjoyment of having them together.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, no, I can see why that might work well with your why Melina might work well with your soft cheese.
So that's gorgeous. So that is Latour, if anybody wants to try that. My second cheese is one of my other favorites, and this is from the Alps. I have a particularly soft spot for Alpine cheeses. I just love them. And this is Appenzeller, and no kind of ordinary Appenzeller. It's an Appenzeller that has been matured for 9 months. So it's called Appenzeller Edelwürtig, and it has a pinkish kind of foil on the top to signify how long it's been matured. So this is the most mature of all the Appenzellers out there on the market. So quite a firm texture. You can see the golden color, beautiful, completely natural. And in terms of flavor and aroma, you'll find a lot of nutty notes there. Slightly fruity, slightly nutty, a little bit brothy, super incredibly blessy, complex cheese, and the flavor that just keeps giving and giving. And not only that, the flavor is complex, but I also love the very smooth texture of Alpine cheeses. So when you chew them up, they work into a really fine mush on your palate. And these kind of things are very easy to pair with drinks, wines, and so on. So I love Appenzeller. It's very versatile, but I was really, really happy when I tried it with Melina and that they work together. For me, it was bingo. This is just like absolutely amazing. So definitely recommend trying them together. But things like Goudas as well. You were thinking of a Gouda. I can see that.
Yeah, Gouda or Gruyere, I guess. What's the Comté? Comté? Do you think it would work with Comté?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I said earlier that it reminded me of Vin Jaune. I mean, obviously not the same thing, but it has similarities. So with anything from the Alps or from the Juras, I think I would definitely be trying that. With a nutty, smooth, gorgeous, intense texture and flavor. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's what would work. I think I could see that working really well. I think texture is really important. We don't often understand or talk about texture, but as you think about it more, and it's certainly something I've been trained to do, is to think about the texture of the wine and then try and match that with what it is that I'm eating. And I think the richness of the hard cheeses that you've just been describing, as you say, the way they break down on the palate is going to be perfect to go with the rich, sort of viscous, soothing texture that Melina has.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, it's absolutely so important. And I didn't mention it in my book. some of you may have read it in the past, but if you haven't, please pick up a copy. I do talk about these things in there as well. And they do talk about matching your cheese and your drink based on body. And that's kind of texture. That's another word for texture. So if you have a very light-bodied wine and a very kind of heavy-bodied cheese, something really intense and mature, they're just going to clash. One is going to overwhelm the other, and it's just not going to. But here we definitely have a similarity in terms of texture / body.
Yeah.
So
when I tried this, I originally paired it with a mature cheddar, and I thought it was superb. So yeah.
So cheddars also will work, because cheddars can be nutty as well. So traditional cheddars that are cloth bound, definitely can be very nutty. So that's another thing that Melina can work with. And finally, I would like to finish with the blue cheese, which is a traditional thing to do, I suppose. So, and if we think about, again, relations of honey wine and how we related them to slightly or to dessert wines, I immediately thought we need to do it with the blue cheese. But blue cheeses can be different in strength. So I was very cautious and kind of careful selecting the strength of my blue cheese. So they can be mild, medium, strong. I don't believe Melina is sweet enough for a really strong blue cheese, like a Roquefort or Cabrales even. So I wanted to go medium. So I tried it with one of our slightly off the beaten track blue cheeses, which is called La Piral, and that's from Spain. So it's got a nice dense cream texture, medium strength, and a little bit of nuttiness. So of course it has the bite from the blue, but when you go kind of beyond the blue and the saltiness of the blue, you start to notice nutty notes in this cheese. So, and when I blended them together, for me that worked just beautifully. So that's kind of my final suggestion for Melina pairings. I would say a medium strength, slightly nutty blue cheese will work nicely.
Yeah, I must admit I hadn't thought about that, but I can absolutely see why that would work. So blue cheeses are really good with wines that have got a little bit of sweetness in them. I think also because they tend to be quite salty, have quite a high level of salt, and the sweetness in the wine balances that salt, and the wine will feel drier, the cheese will feel less salty and more fuller in flavor, and I can see why that would work really well together. I think one of my favorite experiences was in Italy and being served for dessert gorgonzola with walnuts and honey drizzled over it. I mean, it's just the simplest of desserts, but it worked beautifully, and so you can see why blue cheese might work with the honey and the nutty notes that you get in Melina.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And one of my favorite stories from the past, when I was starting in cheese and wine, when I tried Sauterne and Roquefort together, and it was just like life-changing for me. So to see that saltiness to be balanced out by the sweetness of the wine, that just made all the sense. And I think that kind of sent me on that track of trying to discover similar maybe combinations. And I think that's a really exciting thing for any food and wine lover to do, to pair things together. So I hope when you try, everybody who's watching, when you try this Melina wine, you will also experiment with some cheeses of your own and find maybe other combinations that are really great with it. And please let me know. I always like to hear these things. But what do you think, Claire? Shall we wrap up for today? I think we've done a really great overview of our Melina wine. I will say in a few words when it's going to be available. We are planning to launch it next Friday, I believe, on the 18th of November. And that is still a little bit up in the air. It's a little bit of a moving feast. We are hoping to receive it. But when we have the confirmation, we will announce it on our social media channels, or if you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll hear from us, and you'll be able to pre-order this drink. We'll deliver it to you before Christmas, but it's best to pre-order because there will be only a very limited amount available. We only have a batch of about 300 bottles being made.
It's hardly
So,
anything.
you're very lucky. And if you want to try it, I do recommend pre-ordering and being quite kind of fast about it. And maybe I should mention a retail price. So we will be selling this for $27.50. So it's kind of a premium category, but I promise you it's worth every penny. I hope you will enjoy it this Christmas. And before we leave you for tonight, I'd like to ask Claire to maybe mention how people can contact you if they wanted to learn more about wine with you, to get themselves educated in wine and such.
Absolutely. So thank you, Svetlana. So yes, clairedrinks.com is my website. I am on all the social media sites as well. My handle is Claire Drinks, nice and simple. So you can contact me through any of those. I'll be pleased to help you with wine courses, with wine tastings, spirits courses, spirits tastings, cocktails, beer, whatever. Anything drinks, anything drinks related, I'm your girl.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure, and I'm so glad that you're a supporter of the project. Thank you so much. And to everyone who's watching, I would like to say that I hope you enjoy Melina. I hope that you have a great festive season this year, and that you'll find some moments to savor and enjoy life. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.